Now, does that mean Jude couldn't have a friend in a wheelchair? Absolutely not. I'm just stating the fact that Jude doesn't. Now, a lot of my friends are
Sorry, I surround myself with godly people. Which, in the context of the joke, makes sense because I was joking that wheelchairs.
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut that part and make it the stinger of this episode, where I'm like, name one in which. Sorry, a lot of my friends are godly.
Roll the intro.
Evening, officer. Is something wrong?
Just keep your hands where I can see them. Routine traffic stop. We got reports of someone driving under the influence. You know anything about that?
No, I'm only under one influence.
What's that?
The influence of Jesus.
It's time for Under the Influence.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children.
Joe Biden. Give me a second. Joe Biden. Welcome back, everybody, all my listeners, huge fans, lots of fans. Under the Influence, great show, 3 guys, Jude, Jerry, and Levi, talking about their lives and their wives. What'll they discuss today? I don't know.
Word.
Back to you. That's it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Under the Influence. I'm your host, Jude Crane, joined by my 2 favorite co-hosts who are beneath me and my subordinates, Jerry Crane and Levi Thiessen. We're excited to get into new conversations and talk about our weeks, catch up, just kind of get to know each other. We're also going to talk about
We're still getting to
serious
know each
biblical
other.
topics.
Getting to know each other.
Gibbing to know each other, the monkey.
Gibby.
Giddy. Gibby. Ugly boy. Gibby.
Byron just drops through the ceiling.
Byron Thiessen.
Bibby.
7 feet
Bibby.
tall.
Byron Thiessen.
Byron Thiessen.
Byron Thiessen.
Byron Thiessen.
Byron.
We're just riffing.
It's fun. It's a really fun voice
We're just
to do.
riffing, guys.
Sorry, guys. We're just
I mean,
riffing.
you missed the 5 other minutes before we started recording.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Donald Trump impressions,
He's really
It's a good
at
one.
it.
It's great.
including the best impression of them all.
Matt's impression of you doing
Donald
your impression
Trump
of Donald? Oh. Donald, yeah, there's no way that's how he really
Donald.
talks. There's like elements of it,
no.
sure.
I think
Donald J. Trump.
I think that he's. I don't think that it's how he naturally spoke, but
Yeah.
I think that it is how he naturally speaks now
No way.
because he's just trained himself to do
Ridiculous.
it for that long.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Like-
So you think when he's at home, he's like, Melania.
Melania? No.
I mean,
Stuff
not
like
like
that.
how he is on the podium, but I do think that he still has like the accent and like.
Yeah. Well,
I
he
don't
has
think
an
he does all the
accent.
hand motions.
He does this all the time.
I think
24/7.
I guarantee you he talks with his hands like that.
Well, probably
Because his son does it too. If you watch Donald Trump Jr. speak, when he's talking like pretty much anytime, he's always going like this.
I guess
That's just 'cause
he
he's
might just
insecure.
not. He might just not
Trying to
do
be his
like
dad.
the eye.
I don't think so. Because he doesn't do it as much as his dad. Every now and then, though, like when he gets really animated, he starts talking in the same way.
because he's not his dad. He's insecure. He's trying to be his dad. We all do that. We all try. I wear size 14 shoes to be like my dad.
That's ridiculous.
I don't think dad
Stop
wears
it.
size 14.
Stop it. And you're wrong. Actually, you and Dad do wear the same size shoes.
But
Is
he
that
has-
why?
No, I have narrow feet.
You do it just to be like Dad?
So you wear really wide feet just to be
Yeah,
like
I
that?
wear wide
You wear
feet.
wide feet?
I wear white feet.
This man, my hands!
They call me white feet.
But it's his feet.
My hands.
My hands.
You do a random goose step and your shoe flies across.
Goose step.
Like when I put your shoe on over my shoe and
I think you meant like flat tire somebody maybe? You meant goose step?
no,
or-
goose step is like when you
You take a step and you put your foot all the way up.
yeah, it's like the army march.
Like the Nazis?
yeah.
Oh.
I wasn't gonna say the word. He said it.
We're allowed to
I
say the
didn't
word
say it.
Nazi.
Like the.
But I didn't bring him up. He did.
Party. From
That just sounds like a party.
the party from Germany.
That pool party?
A certain group of gathering together and killing a bunch of. I am a turkey.
There's a turkey in my
I
basement.
am.
There's a turkey in my basement.
Gobble, gobble. Gobble,
Donald
gobble.
Trump
There's a
pardoning the turkey on Thanksgiving. Gobble gobble.
He's speaking to it.
Because he's
He's
Gobble,
speaking,
gobble, gobble.
he's speaking to the turkey. Like,
Yeah.
They're like, "Are you? Do you have any words?" And he gets confused and he thinks they mean for the turkey. So he turns and he's like, "Gobble gobble 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 gobble." What I just said to him was, "I pardoned you because you're the fattest one."
Gobble gobble.
why would you pardon the
Starts
fattest
playing
one?
with his little guzzard.
Because he
Wouldn't he
knows
want
it's
that?
the one
The
that
plumpest
people want.
and the juiciest.
Think
he
about it.
saves for himself.
Is that
about
what
it.
they do?
No, they pardon.
No, they just
don't
pick
kill
whichever
it. That's
one.
the point.
It's probably
No,
the
I
bird
know.
still
I know
dies.
that they
probably just
It still
pick. I don't
dies?
think it's intentionally like the fattest one. I just said that.
they still kill it like all of the rest of the turkeys. They just set
Dude.
the body aside and
I
don't
mean,
eat
it's
it.
entirely possible.
I
That's
100%
absolutely
think that
true.
turkey. What do you think they do with that turkey? It still gets killed. Maybe not that day.
No,
No,
it's still
but,
going
like,
to get.
it goes
Yeah.
it goes back to the farm
anybody
that it was
know?
from, and then the family's just like,
The family's like,
oh
"Sweet."
cool, I get to
Thank
sell it
goodness.
again.
No, you
they
know
keep
what?
sending back the plumpest, juiciest one for
I
us.
bet you the turkey gets
It's wings.
it just gets de-winged.
It just gets
I
We're saying
know.
it could fly now.
Oh, they fly now. I
They
bet
fly.
you that the turkey just gets even worse treatment in the sense that it gets put on like the bargain rack or like it's like someone's like, why is this one so cheap? They're like,
it missed the
"President."
turkey rush, so now it has to get sold.
No, literally,
on
they're
sale.
like, why is this one so cheap? It's like a third of the price. It's like, that's the one the president
Some
pardoned.
random critter cabana. There's
That's
just
the
a
one that
cage
Trump
turkeys in.
pardoned. That's the one that Trump.
That's the
pardoned.
pardoned turkey.
And then, but this is the one that Biden pardoned.
It's 10 times the price. And the turkey's like,
That's a pigeon.
That's a pigeon.
I pardon this turkey.
they're like, why is this one 10 times the price? Biden did it. Still why?
Biden's just like, I pardon all the turkeys. Doves.
Doves just
And they're
fly
like,
out.
President, you can't do that. And he's like,
And then they grab his arms. And he flies away.
It's
the
the
doves
first
do?
time that he realized that he was president, so he used his power.
Joe
for good.
Biden.
the only executive
Like a
order
kite
he
in the
signed. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
Because he's
only
frail.
executive order he ever signs himself, rather than people signing them for him, is the
It's
one
to
where
free-
he's like, I pardon all the turkeys. That was weird.
You're doing
All the farms,
started to do
all the
Trump.
turkey,
I
all the
pardon
turkey
all the
farmers,
turkeys.
all the turkey farmers are like, no, he can't do that. That's our livelihood. And he's just like, I just signed
Ice
it this
cream.
morning."
And they just watch their turkeys just fade
They all
away.
just float away.
Turn to ash. I pardon all turkeys.
And they're like, this is so much worse.
Love turkeys.
But you're sitting there, you're selling your prize turkey. This is gonna feed your family for the winter. Here you go, butcher. And no, the government, Secret Service comes in. That's ours. And it's like, no, I was gonna sell that. That was the money to clothe my children. And it's just like,
Even worse.
I'm sorry.
Maybe you buy one, and after buying it, you're on the way home with it.
Dude, I'm
and then
imagining
they
the
pull you
family
over and take
And
it.
it's just like this beautiful, and he goes in to carve it, it just,
Just dusts.
Now that would really have been a horrifying
like,
end to Infinity War. Oh, gross! Or you just see out of your belly button a little bit of ash.
oh yeah, I was gross.
The orphans are all eating their meal, and they're like,
Squirt out.
I gotta get the turkey ash out real quick.
the orphans finally get their meal, and they're like, "Oh man, we're so." I'm so hungry.
Curse you, President Biden.
The kid that gets the turkey from Scrooge is like, Scrooge is a good guy. And then they're sitting there and he just goes, and they all throw up this ash. And they're like, Scrooge is not a good guy. We thought he was a good guy. And Scrooge,
Scrooge is
turning
just
him
like, "That was the turkey I pardoned."
I want you to have this turkey. Oh, there's just nothing. Get
him!
You're horrible.
Burn him at the stake.
and I became good. There were
Burn him at the stake. He's a liar. Burn him at the stake. Burn him
It's like 1800s. I don't know.
Beat him with the crutches he gave me.
Burn him alive. We'll eat Ebenezer. Little Timmy.
Put him in a brass oxen. Put him in the brass. Put him in the brass ox. Put him in the
trapped me in a
stakes and
giant-
stake his bum.
Crucify him.
They put him in a giant brass knocker.
He's like, whoa, flopping around in there. All right, this has gotten too far.
Instead of
Dude,
the
it's hot in
screams
here.
like
It's
a
hot.
bull, it's just him thrashing
Instead of
around,
Marley,
so it
yeah.
sounds like. Yeah.
Like that is is wild.
Well,
I
Levi's
cannot.
just
I
lying to
literally
himself.
can't relate.
He's
to it.
gaslighting himself into believing
I
he's-
am because it's
You know, we just released an episode that was our shortest episode this season, and it might be our shortest episode ever. I don't know. It's real short though.
Was it?
The 2 towel one.
Oh,
Because that episode was the second one we recorded that day, and so it was already a little short. It was like an hour and 2 minutes, I think. And so there was also just a good amount of that I wanted to cut out, and I did. Yeah, I don't mind talking about firing a gun.
I don't know. I was just trying to. I just threw a random hand signal at Levi because I don't know what you're talking about, and so I was
Yeah,
like,
it's fine.
Was
It doesn't
this?
matter right now.
Was
There
it
was
the
just
gun?
something
Were
I
we
was
talking
like-
about guns.
No, and then I think that episode had just something else I took out because it was just like boring, and sometimes things are just like straight up dull.
Yeah.
And so it ended up being
Jerry was talking about his murder spree, and he was like, I don't want to talk about a guy.
Don't talk about how
Don't talk about me being the Zodiac killer.
I was the Zodiac killer. You're so old.
was.
You're so old.
You're
secretly so old.
when was that? Like the 80s or,
Dude,
or
I
70s?
can't. Dude, it's Ted
70s or
Cruz.
80s. I think 70s.
I think
Because in the
70s.
movie, everyone's clothes look a little more 70s.
There's a transitional period.
Bell bottoms.
Bell bottoms. Bell bottoms are sick. And I want a pair so
I love
bad.
bell bottoms so much.
I'm going to get a pair. We should
Dude,
get bell
why
bottoms
couldn't your
together.
wedding
No
do bell
offense.
bottoms?
Jude could pull them off. You couldn't.
Actually, if we got outfits together, we could pull them off. I've got
It's
a sick jacket. You
bell
can wear.
bottoms-
It is actually
Hang
from
on.
the 70s.
Bell bottoms
need long
objectively look better on people with long legs, tall
Yes.
people, and skinnier people.
We live in a
But, like,
society.
We live in
Society
reality.
won't let me wear my bell bottoms.
We live in reality where certain things sometimes are true. It doesn't mean that they would look bad on you. I'm just saying. Also, here's the other thing, and I talked to Perry about this recently. It bothers me how cool Jude is. That just listen to me.
It bothers
It
me
does.
how
It
cool
does.
Jude
There-
is.
We were at a store, and I was like, "Could I wear this?" And she was like, "Ugh." And I was like, it's kind of like the thing. The reality is like there's certain types of clothing,
Yes.
that I think, man, when people wear them and they can pull them off, it's like that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then I go, I wouldn't wear them. Sometimes it's because I'm like, I know I couldn't pull them off, and other times it's like I don't want to wear them, but then deep down I kind of do because if I could pull them off, I would pull them off. Like I would do that. It's just that you can pretty much, for whatever reason, wear most things and just be fine. Like you can wear a Hawaiian shirt with pickles all over
This
it.
is true.
You know what I mean? It's just this
Yeah.
kind of quirky, weird thing, and pull it off, and people, it's whatever. And people probably would say it looks cool on you. And then you could wear that with a straw hat and clown shoes, and people would still be like,
You could be
Hey,
from
that's
the
a-
One Piece universe
It
and still
would,
look cool.
it would go from, hey, that's a really cool outfit, to,
what the heck?
wow.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that yourself?
Maybe nobody can
Did
wear
you
clown
dress
shoes.
yourself?
Maybe
with
nobody
that?
can wear. But dude, you know for a fact you could wear a white t-shirt,
Yes.
a Hawaiian shirt that has pickles all over it,
Right.
a straw hat, those pants, and Birkenstocks, and nobody would have a problem with it.
Birkenstocks? Aren't those open toe?
Yeah. So
I'm not wearing. I have they ripped out my
okay,
toe when I was a baby.
high top sneakers,
Yeah.
and you could pull it off. Now imagine me wearing that outfit.
It's a lot funnier.
See, Levi agrees, right? Why?
part of that-
is it
because-
because I'm too big?
You said it yourself. Quirky. Quirky has like an aesthetic. Green
I
pants.
wish I
suspenders.
wasn't the way that I am. I wish
You
that I
want to
was-
be theater kid quirky? That's what you just. That's the outfit you just described. Was a kid named Dax who comes into school to do his monologue and then does a spin afterwards. Like that's that
And
kid.
then he walks out.
Yeah, and then he goes like this.
Jude, you're that guy. You are that man.
I am.
You are that man. You
I
are
am
Dax.
No, you're not. But
We
there
just
are certain
doxed
things
Jude's
that
real name.
There are certain things like that's too much. You'll wear
Yeah.
like one of those elements.
I do like
in different
incorporating one
outfits.
element. Yeah.
and it works, and it bothers me. It's good for you, but I was like, but Perry, and she was nice and encouraging about it. Like, well,
What was the item?
Well,
The
I
article.
still love you even if you look like a worm.
No.
That's what Perry would say.
She would say
worm.
that.
Even
You know,
if you
if
were
I was a
a worm,
worm,
you
would
know
you
the
love
whole
me?
thing.
Oh,
If
yeah.
I was a puddle of water, would you still love me?
I'd put
I'm
you in
not
a
the
mason
type.
I'd
jar.
put you in
There
a
are
mason jar and
types
take you
of
around with
people
me
that
all
ask
over the
that
world.
question. Those questions. I'm not one of them. She is.
Women.
Hey, jokes. You know,
I wasn't belittling her by saying she does ask me those sorts of questions often.
Yeah. I don't know many guys that have ever asked that question
True.
actually,
Fair point.
but I could see Perry responding in the most like
She was
I
very
would-
kind, very loving. She was like, if you could pull those things off, great. You can't. And then also she was like, you She was like, I like it better that you can't because I like the way you dress.
That's based.
And she's like, it's because, and I was like, well, is it just because it's the way I dress? She's like, well, that helps, but also I like the way you dress.
W fiance.
Yeah, she's the best. By the time this episode comes out, she'll be my wife.
W.
No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, could you?
She
We
wouldn't.
just
She wouldn't.
wait a month.
What was the item? Was it a flannel with a built-in hood?
No, I could
flannel?
pull that off.
I think so too. I was worried that was what it was going to be.
You were worried?
Yeah, I was worried because you can pull that off, absolutely.
No,
but
I
it
could-
is one of those items that you look at it and you go,
The
that kind
layered
of looks
look,
like a.
the layered look, like flannel with hoodie
I
underneath.
should say this:
could pull
the
it off.
specific jacket that is a jacket, not a flannel, but is made to look like it has a hooded flannel
I
underneath.
have one of those.
That's what he's talking about.
A hooded flannel? Hooded flannels don't exist. You're saying
Everyone who's listening knows exactly what I'm talking about.
And
So,
so
do
my
I.
description of it.
So
so do I.
as an unbiased third party, you guys were actually talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
we know that.
Okay, you
Well,
know
no,
that?
I wasn't because I literally
you
was
guys
talking about two
literally-
different things, so that can't be possible.
No, but like the thing that you were thinking of the second time is the thing that he was talking about originally.
Sure, maybe.
Is
How
it?
could you possibly
Yes.
know?
Oh, I'm trying to figure out. That's what
Because
I
I'm
have
an
a feeling that
unbiased
it was.
third party person listening
I have a
into the
feeling it
conversation.
was that.
So it wasn't.
What was it? Birkenstocks?
Dude, dude,
What was
I
it,
stop.
Birkenstocks?
I haven't neglected to tell you. It's just that every time I've been asked the question, other conversation has started.
Wait,
So,
what was the question?
It wasn't that. What it was a type of like, just more colorful button-up short sleeve shirt, like along the same lines of like a Hawaiian shirt with pickles on it or something, like that kind of thing. And I mean, in sincerity, I don't actually think I would like to wear those things. I was just like, man, I wish I was the type of person that could pull this off, and that's what started the conversation. And then I was like, it bothers me that my brother is just such a cool dude that he can basically make anything work. Like he can do the greaser look. He can do he can look like what's that guy's name? James
John
Dean.
Travolta?
He can wear like those sorts of things. And it works. It
I
always
feel like
works.
you're giving me a lot more credit because
I
I don't
think you're
look
pretty
good.
good.
And I
in
wasn't
so
laughing at what
much.
you were saying. I was laughing at his reaction because
I didn't even
he's
notice.
trying to feign humbleness.
It's not
by
even
going
humbleness.
like
I can't
don't
pull
like
everything off.
taking
You're allowed to laugh at the
compliments.
things I said. No, but it was at the Hurley store. We were at the Woodburn Outlets, which I would never go to by choice.
I have a funny story about Red Robin.
That's okay.
You don't get story time.
I know.
What's your funny story about Red Robin?
After church one time, I was going to meet Matt and Ashley at Red Robin in Wilsonville, and they had
That's
to
the
wait.
better Red Robin.
It's a pretty good Red Robin.
Yeah,
I
so
like
it's a
that
good
Red
Red
Robin.
Robin. And they were finishing something up, so I was going to go get a table, and it would be like 5-10 minutes tops, and then they get there. And so I go in and I get a table, and they seat me down, and I wait,
Oh,
and I wait, and I wait.
Oh yeah.
And my phone's dead, and it's in my car, so there's no even point going back and getting it.
Maybe
and
somebody there could have had a charger, but
Yeah, she comes by and she's like, are your friends coming? I'm like, yeah, they're totally coming. They told me they were coming. And then like 15 minutes later, she comes up and she's like, do you want anything to drink?
has it only been 15 minutes
Yes.
total now, or 50
Yes.
minutes? Okay.
And well, it's been like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll take a peach or a pear lemonade. It's the best thing on the planet.
It's so good.
And
It's
then another 15
incredibly
minutes goes by, and I'm like, do you have a pen? And so she brings me a pen, and I'm just scribbling on the napkin because this is when I was building my cipher. And so I
Throwback to an
look
old
like
episode.
total Zodiac. Just
Great.
I have 3 napkins out.
It'd be better.
All of
I'm
them
just
with
waiting for my friends.
numbers, letters, and like a bunch of weird little hexagon stick things. And I'm just like, are you sure your friend's coming? Yeah, they told me they're coming. I'm gonna be right back. I just got to use the restroom. Can you make sure nobody takes the table? Yeah. So I go to the restroom and then I come out. And right as I'm walking out of the restroom, in the biggest, beautiful, lavish corner booth is Matt and Ashley and 2 other people. And they're like, where have you been?
Oh my goodness.
So for like legitimately 30 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes, I sat on the other side of the restaurant waiting for them to come in, thinking that when they showed up, because the plan was get a table, they'd be like, hey, our friend got a table. But they just said, party of 5?
Yeah.
Why'd you get a
It
table?
would have been even funnier if when she walks up and you look like some sort of schizophrenic scribbling on the walls, she's like, hey, are your friends still coming? You go, they're already here.
Yeah. What do you mean? They're
sitting
here.
right here.
They're here.
I'm gonna need 3 cheeseburgers.
Dude, that would be a fun experiment. Go in and just be like,
I would.
and see if you can get them to. I mean, they'll bring you the food, right? If you
Oh,
order.
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Be like, hey, all 3 of these are on me, and they're like before when they walk up, hey, what are you gonna get? And you're like, just so you know, all 3 checks, they're on me. She already told me she wants the cheeseburger, and I think, what did you want? That's right, yeah, he wants that pizza. And then you know what? What should I get? What do you guys think? Are you sure? Okay, I'll get the BLTA.
No, don't cheat. Don't cheat. Lettuce wrap on that burger.
Yeah.
Please. Thank you.
Yeah.
You have to find the balance between you're clearly
Creepy,
joking,
yeah.
and we need to call somebody to help this man
need to
who's
call
in Red Robin.
I want to see if you can not find that balance, go full bore into the I need help thing.
I think I could do that.
and then just see what happens. Like who
very-
cares? You're not going to see the like.
You get
only
hauled
do it
off
if
to
you're
the psychiatric ward,
Only
dude.
do it if you're out of town, like in a city where you won't go back. These people
Yes,
aren't going to know
yes.
you from Adam,
Yes.
and they'll never see you again.
Yes.
And then someday, you'll
who's
be
Adam?
sitting in a park, and that waitress will walk by and look at you and be like, and then she'll marry you.
She was the waitress.
She was like 40.
I wasn't talking about that waitress.
Right.
No,
the
we were
other, the
talking
new
about-
one.
I'm talking about the
The
hypothetical.
one that I gaslight into thinking I'm insane.
Schizophrenic.
Oh wait, she was 40 in your brain.
No, the waitress that in the actual story. The
Yeah,
actual
he's
story
going
was
back.
40.
All right, I cannot believe it's already been almost an hour.
Shoot.
This is the most entertaining hour we've ever produced.
This is what happens when we don't record for 2 weeks. We just talk about stupid,
riff.
We just
stupid stuff.
miss each other.
Yeah.
I miss you, boys.
You guys want to watch this video?
Yeah.
Go.
With my foot.
Do it.
I
Are you
can't do it.
actually going to use your foot?
No,
Because that
I'm
would be
gonna waste
incredible.
people's time. Also, to preface this a little bit, because last time we watched the video, I didn't.
Dude, I asked you if you wanted to, and you were
No.
like, "No, let's just start it."
I
true.
misunderstood what you were saying. It's my fault. I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you were asking if I wanted to listen to the commentator's preface, which I was like, no, it's our show. So then
It's
we
our
started it,
show.
and I was like, wait, we do need to preface this. But what we're going to watch here is just, I believe it's a response from John Cooper, who's the lead singer for what?
Plug it in, dude.
Oh,
plug those
yeah.
in,
Well,
mate.
I was just trying to get him in my ears, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Think a little, you know.
The video is not even playing.
So John Cooper is the lead singer for Skillet.
No relation to Anderson Cooper.
Hopefully not.
Or DB Cooper.
Hopefully not. Well, maybe DB Cooper. That would be cool.
That would be pretty cool.
But he is. Excuse me. I think I'm getting sick. Sorry. They're a Christian band, Christian rock band. And what's up, buddy? All right. I want to know what you're doing. You are muted.
Sorry.
Oh my ears.
We should save that sound effect. Well, now you make.
You're muted.
So, John Cooper is lead singer for the band Skillet. They're a Christian rock band. Now, most of their songs, actually a lot of their songs do have loose, encouraging themes or things that are kind of like what people might deal with, right? And I wouldn't say most of them are gospel focused, but they are a group of Christians and they make music is the point. But they are often pretty vocal about Christ and about their faith and things like that. And I just recently found out that he has a podcast and a show that he
does?
runs. Yeah, and it's interesting. It's called Cooper Talk or Cooper Chat, something like that. And he talks about, essentially kind of like what we do. Well, no, because we don't talk about being Cooper.
Keeping up with Cooper.
Keeping up with Cooper.
Yeah.
I had a grilled cheese sandwich. Come in next time for another episode of
And this is not that. This is just his response in an interview he did with what looks like CBN News. And I'm assuming, you can gather what the question was about when you watch this. But I just thought it was interesting, and I figured we could watch it together. And it's more faith-based than our conversation we've had for the last hour or so.
When I say this thing that happened to me around
All right, you're already going to notice. I don't have to tell you that this guy sings for a loosely metal or rock band because you can hear it in his voice, man.
2011, it wasn't a turning point for me. It was more of a definitive point, right? It was me hearing something new that I had never heard before. And what it entailed was basically this. We were just beginning to really hit at radio. And we've been trying to get on radio. I mean, that's what you need. You need that radio song, you know? Otherwise, it doesn't get out to the whole world. Well, we were finally hitting at radio. We were going on tour with massive secular bands at the time. And some of these bands were doing arenas, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 people a night.
It's kind of funny to see like these clips, these silent clips of a rock band just headbanging, jumping up and down with just this like soft voice in the background saying like, we were just doing radio. What is happening?
You're starting to sound like him.
You sounded more like
I
him.
am starting to sound like him. I really do think I'm getting sick, and I'm sorry for the listener here and clear my throat so much. But yeah, it's just funny when you see that like jumping up and down, and he's just like, yeah,
But there's like just
you need that radio song.
need the radios.
Right, you know, 10,000, some of them. I could never dream of doing a tour that big. And so all of a sudden we were there. And long story short, after a show, there was this kind of like tour party at a bowling alley, and I'd gone.
Dude,
and there was a bunch of...
that was all I wanted you guys to see, actually. I just know how much you like bowling.
There.
Industry folks there. And when I say industry people, I mean publicists, radio programmers, you know, DJs. There were some famous people there. There were some professional athletes there, models. You know, it was just like, this was the place to be. I'd gone so I could hang out with the bands. They had invited me. I was the opening band on the spot. And I was like, I don't want to be the opening band.
You just had a foggy band on both
I think
arms.
that is so cool.
He's got two like fire extinguisher nozzles.
Yeah, they look
hooked
like
up to fog pipes.
They're strapped to his arms.
Strapped to his forearms. So he's got microphone in one hand, and then he's just blowing smoke.
That's the sound of the blowing smoke. No, I actually do think that looks cool. It looks like, you know, one of those homemade Iron Man suits or something.
Yeah.
Come to your big parties. I'll go bowling. Well, it ended up that somebody said, hey, John, I want to talk to you. And I didn't know they even knew who I was. And it was a fairly big mover and shaker in the industry. And basically, the story goes him saying, hey, you guys could be the next biggest band in the world, but you have to stop talking about Jesus. And he kind of went through a spiel of why. And then he's like, hey, I'm not telling you to not be a Christian. I'm not saying to like not believe in Jesus. Stop talking about it. Don't do Christian interviews. Don't say you are a Christian band. You need to disassociate from that because people don't take it seriously. And so we were having the talk, and I don't hold it against him. He was trying to do me a favor. I mean, he was being really nice. And I think there was actually truth to what he was saying. But what he ended up saying in the end was basically, John, if you think about it, you might...
When he says there's truth to what he was saying, I don't think he was saying that it was right? He's saying...
No, he's saying that if you want to make it as big as
Well,
this guy was
success,
going to get him to be...
More secular.
You can't...
Disassociate.
You can't be
Which he's
associated.
right? Like,
Yeah,
in most
that's
cases,
the
like,
truth.
you will be more successful by the world's standards if you are
Yeah.
not associated with Christ. So, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Especially in, like, the niche that they're trying to be.
Yeah, like a heavy rock band.
even be able to do more good for your religion by not talking about Jesus, because you could get famous. And imagine what you could do for the poor if you had money. Imagine what you could do with your platform for Jesus if you would get bigger by not talking about him now. And I think one of the quotes he used was like, everybody loves Bono. Like, look at what Bono did. Everybody loves Bono, you know? And the reason I say it was a very defining moment for me wasn't because it all of a sudden I said, oh, I'm going to start talking about Jesus now. Mm-hmm. It was a defining moment because I always had talked about Jesus. I had never heard that line of thought before. You know, I'd never heard the no. By not doing this, you will be even more like Jesus. You know, it's even a better thing, a better way to evangelize by not saying anything. And it was a really important night. I went to the bus. I told my wife about it, prayed about it, and I slept on it, woke up the next day, and I was like, that is so not what God is saying to me. It was so clear. It was so clearly evident that it kind of sounded like the truth, but it is not the truth. You know what I mean? And maybe I could be more famous. Well, maybe not, who knows? But that's not what my goal is. That's not even. That's not.
I want
Even,
to stop it for just a second. That line is the thing I took out of this that I love the most. When he said, it almost sounds like it could be the truth, but it's not the truth, right? That's what I want us to, one of the things I wanted us to touch on most on this, but.
the aim. And so I say it was a very defining moment for me because that prepared me for a journey that by the time 2015 came, and all of a sudden you started seeing a lot of Christian pastors, influencers, artists begin to fall away from their faith and using all these various arguments that are like, no, I'm being more like Jesus by saying some new weird, apostate type, thing that is not actually more like Christ. But you know what I mean? It began to get tricky. Well, I was already prepared for that, and I had already been studying, and I was reading, trying to figure out where this stuff was coming from. So it was a very defining moment for me in which I knew that I cannot be silent about Christ. In fact, I need to be more vocal about Christ because there's something happening here that's very evil when the devil says stuff that sounds like truth, but it's really not. That's when you're getting into dangerous territory.
I just thought it was a nice, I like it.
I like it.
I like it. There's another thing in here too.
But what he ended up saying in the end was basically...
But yeah, what do you guys think about that? You can pick it apart. You can talk about things you like, you don't like. What do you think about that little speech he gave?
I think it's interesting. It certainly shows how the devil works through people in a way that, like, we constantly say Christ works through people, but I think it's very ridiculous to say that the devil doesn't work through people. And the guy he's talking to, this manager, this big mover, stir in the music industry, even from this interview, sounds like he's coming to him from a place of like, dude, I want you to be successful. You have the moxie to get there, but you're putting your foot in your mouth because you keep talking about this Jesus guy. I'm trying to help you achieve what a band wants.
Yeah.
So there's also ulterior motive if it's his manager, because he gets a slice.
I don't think it's his manager.
It wasn't. He said it was like a guy that's in the industry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like a mover and shaker, who I think
That's
he said
why
he didn't know ahead of time.
It didn't feel malicious. It felt more, just like, I don't know if it's not benevolent, but it's benevolent. The guy's trying to help him achieve what is success in his world.
Yeah.
I mean, and Anderson Cooper's just like, but the
John
success
Cooper.
in my world, like, my success. What does success actually mean? Like, it's not that. It's not a band at the top. Yeah. It's a band that, wherever it falls, through its music and through its members, spreads the gospel. Like, that's what success is in the real world for Johnny Cooper.
Yeah. No, I think that it might demonstrate well what Colossians 2:8 says when it says, "See to it that no one takes you captive through hollow and deceptive philosophy, which depends on human tradition and the elemental spiritual forces of this world rather than on Christ." And I could be wrong by using that verse because it talks about human philosophy, elemental spiritual forces. So maybe that's a poor scripture. It's just what it made me think of, in the sense that that guy, even if he was being altruistic, I think is the word you're looking
altruistic,
for.
That was the word.
Not benevolent, but I think benevolent could work there. Even if he was being altruistic and saying, no, man, like, you can do this, he may very well have, like you were saying, Levi, ulterior motives, right? Because maybe by him doing that, he would say, and let me partner with you so that you can. But I think based on what John was saying there, he doesn't. Because he said the guy was being nice and trying to help me. So more than likely, this is a guy that's like, I believe you're the next big thing, like a lot of them do. And he's like, let me just give you advice. If you want to be the next big thing, disassociate from Christ. And then seeing John struggle with that, saying like, well, I don't know if that would be right. I want to be a witness. He goes, well, think about this? Like, maybe you could be a better witness if you were already established and then you use it for Christ. And there's like a bunch of things we could touch on in that, right? Like, really, obviously, like, we know based on what he was saying, I agree. I think that's the wrong way of doing it. But then, like, if you were to have done that, not only would it have been the wrong thing to do, but you get to a point where you're essentially putting yourself into a situation to be tempted to not ever reassociate with Christ too, right? Because like if you start to get greedy, you make that decision,
And
you
then-
start to get greedy.
When do you bring Christ back up again?
Yeah, exactly. When do you
Because-
know, like, oh, I'm at the point now where I have enough money, I have enough fame. It'll always be,
Oh, I'm about to reach that point.
yeah,
Oh, shoot, I can get even higher than this. Oh, man.
exactly. And then I'll do it for Christ, you know, and then, you know, you're chasing money instead of chasing God. But you're disguising it as though you're chasing money so that you can chase God. And what it reminded me of is that thing I was talking to you about today, Jude, and that I had said I was talking to some people about on Discord last night about how like we have this false idea sometimes and we just get mixed up or lie to ourselves or fall for the lies of the enemy, which is like what the route to godliness is, right? Or like the route to the right thing, which should be godliness, right? And so we'll be like I've shared before on the podcast, but my warped idea in my head, especially when I was a teenager, was that like I deeply desired something that can be good. I deeply desired to be married. And I wanted a wife and a family. It's what I'd said I wanted since I was like 10 years old. And my mind was, a lot of my decisions were centered around achieving that. And then to justify essentially that idol in my life, and I don't remember ever like sitting down and being like, I need to justify this idol in my life, you know, but really what I was doing was justifying this idol in my life by saying, well, to be a husband and to do it well would be to be a godly husband, right? Well, to be a godly husband, I need to be a husband. And to be a godly husband would be to be godly. So my route to godliness, become a husband, right?
Bingo.
And it's like this twist. Obviously, that's not the right way of doing it. And I've talked about that before on the podcast, how a lot of my life has changed since really not only knowing that to have been wrong, but then going, okay, well, then what's the right way of doing it? Devoting myself to God first and foremost. Like I may never get married. You know, that was like the perception then. Obviously, I am now. But like, I may never get married, and I have to be okay with that, right? I have to choose to, like we've talked about before, like use your singleness for God, which just means boiling that down. It's just like in whatever situation of life you're in, are you using it for God? Are you living for Him first? Whether you're in the situation you think you want to be in or not, the situation you should want to be in is serving God in everything, you know. So just that's kind of what it made me think of. Like that mode of thinking can apply to a whole bunch of different areas. And I think that's where it's applying for this guy that was like trying to help him, whether the guy's a believer or not. But I just thought it was interesting. I liked it.
There's also something very interesting about, gosh, don't we just love the word interesting?
Interesting.
The moneymaker talking to John Cooper saying, maybe you could even silence yourself a bit, disassociate from Christ so that you could have a bigger impact. Mm-hmm. This is a big point. But there's this idea in fiction, like all of this, especially like medieval fiction, I think, where evil things can be used for good. And there's even like apocryphal books, like the Lesser Key of Solomon, old like accounts, you know, whatever. I don't think they are to be validated, but an account of Solomon summoning and controlling demons and using them to build his temple,
build the temple,
which he could only do because God gave him this ring. But the idea is that demons, evil,
board game.
sin,
That's where that comes from.
you can use the facets of evil.
Oh, yeah.
If
That
you
ending.
can just get the right angle on evil,
Yeah.
you can win. There is nowhere in Scripture
Yeah.
where you are ever instructed to use evil, even though it's hard and you got to master it and you got to get the right, you got to really like trick the evil stuff. But if you can, then you can use it for good. There is no area where step one is do something bad. So step two is you can do the good even better. There is nowhere where that's found in Scripture. It's completely unbiblical. There is no situation where you use sin so that you can do greater good, or you harm your relationship with Christ so that you can have a better and more reaching relationship with Christ. Not talking about Jesus would not only do a disservice to the people that would hear it, but it would also do a disservice to John, because you're absolutely edified in almost every discussion you have with people where you are proselytizing and you are helping people, and that is an edifying experience for both parties. Mm-hmm. Not that that's the reason you do it, but it is. So to deny that could only serve to not grow or at worst hurt his relationship with Christ, which means there is no way that after doing that, you'll be able to proselytize and reach more people better. It's completely illogical and it's anti-biblical.
So we've had conversations on the podcast before about getting sleeper agents.
I was going to bring that up.
Sleeper agent Christians.
Into Hollywood, where they don't talk about their faith. They show Christ-like attributes in their life instead of testimony. So how does that line up with what you just said?
There's a difference between ceasing an action that's already started and not doing it. I don't think that's a very good argument, though, because I don't think sleeper agents is a good idea anyway. I think we should just have, like, people. Because sleeper agent implies that what lets you reach more people is not God, but it's being on top of the tower.
Yeah.
You're saying that the power that comes from up there and the view that comes from up there, that gives me the reach I need to reach more people, not God, which is dumb.
Yeah, I think we kind of presented this idea, and it's unfortunate that that's the episode I think that Chad was on.
Yeah.
But like we talked about this idea that like, okay, well, what if, you know, we were recognizing that Hollywood is corrupt. Yeah. We're like, how do we fix it? Or like, how do we fix this issue? Is it that, you know, because wouldn't it be a good thing to have a media machine that has like Christian values established? It was like, do we just burn it down and remake it? Or do we try and intervene, like intercept it and like, or infiltrate it, excuse me, and change it? And I think what the idea presented in that episode that we talked about was like, if not destroy and remake it or make our own, the only way we could do the infiltrate thing is like you can't enter it, you know, as an outspoken Christian.
I don't think destroying should be an option. I don't think it like tearing down. Yeah, I think that.
I just think that this did, because while I was watching it, this is what I was thinking about. So I'm glad you guys brought it up, because I was like, man, this does not, I don't think, line up with what we might have said. And I remember when we were making that episode, I was kind of like, I don't really know if like this is right, like the right way of doing things. And also,
I think if you rewatch the episode, we weren't saying, I think Chad just said, I have this idea and I've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
Chad didn't even come up and say, here's what we need.
No.
He said, I think maybe that this would help.
Yeah, I think
which I think is fine,
about,
and it's a nuanced idea, so it's obviously not just so simple as looking at the top of the tower, but I think that's my stance on it.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing that you brought up too was like trusting in God's sovereignty and his control, right? Like if we decide, well, the way we need to help the world is pretend to not be Christians and get involved in this sinful industry, get to the top of it, and then be like, surprise, I was a Christian the whole time. I think we do undermine God's control. If we're like, I think I need to help the world by being at the top of that and using that for God. Well, then if you believe that you should do that, you should only believe it if you think it's God's will. And you should only try and do it, right? Because you think it's God's will. Yeah. And if it's God's will, you're going to do it as an outspoken Christian, or you're not going to do it at all, right? Because like you think about the people being like martyred, we always know that the right thing, like when you hear those stories, those like encouraging stories, the people that like have a gun to their head and they're like, people say, I'm going to shoot you if you say you're a Christian. And they go, well, I'm a Christian. You know, we always go, oh, that was the right thing to do. And I don't know if I'd do the same. That must then mean if that logic is consistent, they're like, it's going to carry over into the situation where you're like, I don't know if I could be at the top of Hollywood unless I...
And I don't think even when Sleeper Agent Christian was brought up, it was being used as, I never discuss Jesus.
No, I know.
And then I do. Yeah. I think it was brought up as, when approached.
I'm not trying to like say that we were speaking heresy in that episode or that Chad was or anything.
I'm just trying to say they don't contradict each other because
there's nuance.
Yeah.
I'm going to move my foot. Sorry. There's certainly nuance there. And I think that, you know, like people who are just choosing not to like in every single interview be like, I'm going to share the gospel, you know, like you could kind of be a sleeper agent in that way, right? Like someone who's becoming a more famous actor. And if they're not choosing to disassociate from Christianity, but they are just like, they're just like not street preaching every single time they're on the camera. Like, I don't think that that's wrong. I could be wrong though. You know, that's the other thing that's really important.
Context of the conversation is like
it's kind of like when you think about just in general evangelizing, like there's a reason in most cases, every single person you meet, you don't just start like just yelling the gospel at them, right? In some cases, like, I think there has to be an argument to be made that it's better to start to build some rapport and relationship with someone.
Yeah.
Don't neglect what you should do, but like, you'll be more effective with people if you establish a connection with them
First?
in most cases, but it doesn't have to be first.
I don't know.
You think, I mean, sometimes the connection with them can be established because you walk up to them and say, have you heard the gospel of Jesus
I know this
Christ?
very sweet lady who treats
sweet.
everyone in her life, believe it or not,
Yes.
immediately makes it apparent that she is a Christian.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I'll pray for you.
Yes. No, no, it's that
No?
she said that she, in conversation, always assumes people are, so that she talks to people about.
I've talked to her about
Yeah.
this.
Oh, I thought you were
Yeah.
just referencing. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no,
So she'll
she-
just walk up and say, like, the first thing she says is,
I'll pray for you? No, that's
Okay.
psychotic.
I thought that's
but-
what you were-
No,
That's not
no. In the, well, hey, I'll pray for you.
I thought she had
What?
said that
Hello?
like
Who are you?
she treats everyone like they already know that she's
Yes.
But Jude's
yeah.
saying he's talked to her about it beyond what we've heard.
She makes it readily apparent I'm a Christian.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, which I think might be the right approach.
Yeah, I think that is a great approach. I wasn't saying that wasn't the right approach.
It's the only approach. And you're sinning if you disagree with me.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not legalistic. I'm just saying that these are the rules you have to
sometimes
follow.
Jude, even in his own voice, talks like Trump.
I've just been doing that all day.
Yeah,
It's fun.
most of this
Oh, legalistic.
episode, you started to.
Yeah, it's fun.
The cadence of Trump is like
You don't.
15% there.
I just like doing this when I speak.
Yeah, I've noticed.
You don't listen.
I know this really nice lady.
Really nice lady. She's very sweet.
She is sweet. She's great. I've missed them at church. Who are you talking about? Who I'm talking about, right?
There's only one person I could possibly
Yeah.
be talking about.
Yeah, it's got to be the one person.
Yeah.
Geraldine.
Geraldine Withers.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, Mrs. Whitaker, our old art teacher.
Dude, I love Mrs. Whitaker so much.
She was great. She used to.
She
What?
died?
What?
I don't know.
Your
I don't
art
think
teacher
that she
died?
I don't think
I
that
don't
she's.
think that she died.
I didn't hear that she died, but when I was talking to her, to mom, I was talking to her. When I was talking to mom
Sorry,
about
Mrs. Whitaker?
When I was talking
to mom
to her
about her
last
recently.
week, she seemed alive.
When I was talking to mom about her recently, I was like, "Did she?" And mom was like, "I don't know."
Mrs.
So,
Whitaker was like when we were way, way young.
I was probably like 8.
What?
He was 8.
I was probably like 8,
No.
which
and
is
then
pretty
that
young.
means you were like 4.
I was
No, like
remembering it as
3.
if I was 8.
Well, we weren't there for one day. Like,
It's
we went
true.
there consistently for a while. So you
2
could have at some
days.
point been around there.
2
but,
days.
But you know, Perry went there with us.
I think we've talked about that before.
She has all these memories of her and I going to art class there together, and I have like 2. Like,
I feel like
can
I remember her. It wasn't paper mache, but it was
Yes,
a type
she
of
still
clay
has that. I
class.
saw it
Yeah.
the other day at her house.
I feel like I remember
Oh, wow.
hers
She
being way
knows
better
we're
than
talking
mine.
about her because she just.
Sent me a picture of her paper mache hut.
Sent a picture
Dude,
of the.
they were the
Wouldn't that
coolest
be
things.
creepy?
They were awesome.
Yeah, it was this project where it was like make a biblical time like themed
House.
home.
Yeah.
And so you take a shoebox and you take the top of it off, and then you cut a door in it, and then you covered it in not paper mache. You covered it in.
It was
pages from
essentially
it was
like
a homemade
spackle,
spackle. Like it was
kinda
very
stuff.
tuna,
Yeah.
like fibery and.
Well, it was like salt and
Yeah.
flour and like
No,
all these
that was
things.
the dough
Yeah.
that made the bricks.
That's what I'm talking about.
There was also a literal like tuna-looking spackle that you
Yeah.
then put on the outside. Which
And then you were supposed to make like it was fun because you're making like a little diorama. So you make little people out of stuff, and then we made like
Hair,
we went out and
scabs.
we went outside and got
Toenail
sticks
clippings.
and tied sticks together to make ladders because like they would have.
That was
I thought you were making human effigies out of stuff.
No, the ladders were sick though. That was
Yeah.
so cool.
I don't
for
know
some
why I thought
reason.
that was so
Because
cool.
it was like a miniature.
It was,
Yeah.
and so
Ladder.
essentially we were making miniatures.
Yeah, miniature ladder.
And it was fun. This is not what we're supposed to be talking about, but I liked this. I saw it. It popped up on my feed, and I watched it, and I just thought it was great. And I think it's a good encouragement. You know, this guy is. I think he's talented. I like their music for the most part. There's a few of them I don't really love, but I do like their music. I grew up listening to a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I like that he's fairly outspoken. You know, and at one point in my life wouldn't have necessarily thought that they were, but it's been kind of proven to me by talking to some unbelievers who have told me before. Like there's this one guy I talked to who, when I saw Skillet in concert one time, I put them on my Snapchat story, and he commented and he just said "ick," and I was like, "Well, what do you?"
ick.
I was like, well, what do you mean by that? And he was like, he's like, it's not so bad. He's like, I don't mean to be rude, but he's just like, he had said ick, LOL. I was like, what? And he's like, I just think it's funny when I think the idea of Christian rock bands is funny. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, why can't there be things that fit the genre of music, but that they're Christian? And he was like, well, I think that the genre of music and Christianity diametrically opposed one another.
Antithetical to each other.
And I was like, well, that obviously can't be true. But also, I understand what you're saying. The culture of secular rock music and Christianity certainly can oppose. But a type of music and Christianity, those two things can't be opposed unless the type of
Satanic
music...
death metal.
Okay, what I was about to say was unless the type
thinks
of
that that's
music,
Christian.
unless the type of music inherently has content and must have said content in order to be that type of music, and that content is counter to Christ. So like, sure, satanic chanting, that can't be inherently Christian. Chanting can.
Remember that guy we had on our podcast, Chad? Sometimes he'll have like ideas where he goes, "This is totally ridiculous, but I really believe this," and it's usually a non-salvation. It's
You're
always
saying
non.
that's what I
Yeah.
just did?
No, that's what I'm about to do.
Oh.
I fully, pretty much believe that there is a specific I can think of genres that have no content, satanic or otherwise, except
That
for the
couldn't be
music,
made
no
Christian?
lyrics, that are bad for Christians to listen to.
Rap?
Oh, what? No, I literally just said it didn't have
No
lyrics.
lyrics.
And you chose the most lyrically involved
I didn't hear the darn
rhythm and
lyrics.
poetry, baby.
So what were you going to say? I was joking anyway.
Trance music, EDM, dubstep style stuff.
Well, how is that anti-Christian?
Different types of music.
Wait,
affect-
trance or dubstep?
I said both.
Both. He was talking about
Those
two
types,
genres.
and
Those are the two
they're
types,
very
okay.
gray, like amorphous.
So you can't have the like
shapes,
like that kind of thing.
but-
And it could be like,
Do you know what trance music is?
What?
Do you know what trance music
Well,
is?
I'm talking about dubstep. I don't know what.
Oh, okay.
I would assume trance music puts you in a trance. I don't know.
Yeah, and dubstep too. Yeah, I think they put your mind in a place that's very vulnerable, and I don't think it's conducive to.
I think a lot of music puts your mind in a place that's very vulnerable.
Sure, yeah, but
Yeah.
these are significantly worse.
I'm not saying it because
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be contrarian. I'm just saying I do think a lot of music puts your mind in a vulnerable place.
Yeah, music literally different chords, different
Yeah.
notes, different sounds literally affect your brain chemistry. Look into worship music. It's interesting.
So then why wouldn't that be like, let's say it makes your brain a little squishier in that moment, right? It's
Yeah,
more
yeah.
vulnerable. It's more exposed. The shields have been pulled back.
Two negative elements. More exposed to negative elements.
Oh, okay. I
Not
was gonna say-
simply
Yeah,
that your brain
That's
is
what I was
more-
asking for
yeah.
clarification on.
Your brain is more exposed. You can get one shot easier by.
Do I have any
Yes.
biblical evidence for this? Maybe. When the Bible talks about music, it says very specifically,
Thou shalt not dubstep.
Thou shalt not
not
dub
dub
thine
st-
step,
Dub thine
nor be
step.
put in a trance by dead mouse. But it's the
Do not listen to a
when it talks
dead
about music, it
mouse.
says always play it with rhythm, harmony, and glory to the Lord. And I don't know.
So why can't you glorify God with dubstep?
Where is that, by the way? Do you know where that
It's in the
Songs?
Book of Mormon.
I quoted the Book of Mormon.
Quoting the Book of Mormon about.
Why? Trance music.
dubstep.
I couldn't possibly even begin to try and explain to you how music affects the brain because I only
that-
understand it ingesting.
And because I'm
not-
super dumb. But like,
No, but because certain music puts you in a place where your cognitive ability, your thinking ability,
Yeah.
is significantly decreased. There are certain genres that affect this more. The leaders in those genres are trance and dubstep, rave style music. I think it just puts you in a place where your brain is empty and ready to be filled by something that's not necessarily great.
I'll say like without obviously seeing any of the data. that
Crazy
you're talking
idea.
About,
If you listen to dubstep, you're not going to hell. I just feel this way.
yeah.
just-
and let me say I'm not seeing the data you're talking about or whatever for that, but I'm going to say I just believe you intrinsically for a second.
Always.
So, for the sake of argument, then if it does that, and you're saying it can make you more susceptible to evil, I would also argue that like dramatic sad music or like guttural, like like angry music can also do the same. Like that really angry, scary kind of sounding music can make your mind
What's
more
dubstep?
susceptible. Huh?
That's dubstep. That's the angriest music there is. You think screamo? Wrong. You want to see
Dubstep is
people
the angriest sounding
Screamo
music.
can have
Absolutely.
such depths.
Do you know
of,
where
like-
screamo stops
I don't.
and hasn't changed since? Vocal fry.
Yeah.
Can't do anything more than fry your vocals as much
Okay.
as they can be fried.
Sure.
Dubstep keeps getting better all the time. People find new ways, people find better ways all the time.
I'm not saying
Dubstep's the angriest
can't.
music.
I'm not saying it can't. Sure, I don't know, but I would not say dubstep as a genre. Dubstep is the angriest music.
Absolutely.
Okay, sure, it can reach the highest depths or the highest heights of anger. For the sake of argument, yes, but the genre dubstep, encapsulating dubstep, it is not angrier as a whole than death metal screamo
Absolutely,
music.
100%.
No, dude.
Yeah.
There's no way. Because like,
feel
what about the dubstep?
There's
where it's
a
just
lot
like,
of like just depression.
You don't know what dubstep is. That's not dubstep. That's called EDM or trance
Oh, okay.
music.
To me, I thought those were
Dubstep
the
is
same things.
literally, it's not that.
Somebody call 911. That's it.
Can't do that with your mouth.
Dude, I
oh,
haven't-
wait.
Jude is saying this because he knows it's. That was a moment of weakness. Jude
was-
is actually a skilled, sinful dubstepper.
I'm sorry.
I haven't listened to dubstep.
That's why. It's my weakness. Dubstep,
Yeah.
EDM, and trance
He's
music.
too close.
Everybody knows
Since,
that's
like,
my favorite type of music.
2013.
And he gets really angry and sinful when he.
Yeah.
Goose.
Goose.
Ghosts.
But like screamo gets to a point where you don't even tell what's going on. Are they screaming or are they dragging
Yeah.
a
I think we
metal box against cement?
Yeah.
Like you can't tell if it's
I
going.
can understand what you're saying because at least like you can have the most intense dubstep, but you can still hear specific rhythm in it that is continuing to make your brain and your emotions like get more and more
Yes,
and more.
yes.
Whereas you're saying screamo or something is going to reach a limit where it's like you can't give more rhythm to, you know. Oh, what did I say wrong this time?
How about screamo dubstep?
Oh no. The unholy duo.
Satan was a choir director.
What?
That's true. That's
My
in there.
choir director was Satan. That's true.
Satan,
Wait, no.
Satan was the choir director of heaven, and then he fell. Is that what you're saying, Jude?
You are a Mormon.
He wanted to go in a different
Coffee's
direction
bad.
for the choir of angels. and
Coffee's
God
bad.
was
Soda,
like,
coffee.
no.
Mormons can't do it. Caffeine.
Oh.
It's a drug.
Crap, I'm Mormon.
Do Mormons take medicine?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to. They're not like Amish.
They're
Yeah,
not-
they drink Kool-Aid.
Were they Mormon? Jonestown?
No, I'm just using the term like drinking
Right.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
like,
they do. They do.
They do drink
subscribe
the
to a lot of
Kool-Aid.
silly things.
But they don't like drink the Kool-Aid.
But that's interesting. How do they deal with men? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it's an interesting. I'm gonna have to research that.
do they
Oh,
with
I think it's
Mennonites?
wait, is it Jehovah Witness that don't take blood transfusions?
That sounds definitely true.
No idea.
Jamie,
Jamie, pull that.
Jamie, pull that up.
He fell down. He fell down the stairs again.
Could you
Pull that
imagine?
up.
Wake up from a nap and just
What?
because we've not been asking Jamie to do anything, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh," and falls down the stairs.
Why did we put him on the top of the stairs? Whoa!
It's the most comfortable spot.
It is, yeah. Because it's the only part of the ground in here that's flat. The rest of it's like dubstep. You know?
It legally
The rest
had
is
to
like
be
dubstep.
flat in front of the stairs,
yeah.
so that's the only
For
spot
handicapped people.
for handicapped people.
could I be entirely wrong? Most likely.
We're not
I just
handicap
feel a certain
accessible.
way, and
We did that on
I'm gonna.
purpose.
I feel this way, so I will make my
We're hiding.
beliefs morph to it.
We could never have a. What were you talking
kidding.
about? Sorry.
No.
We could never have a wheelchair-ridden guest unless we carried them up.
Unless
here,
we carried them up here.
which I would be willing to do.
We could do like they did in Bible times and like have them on a mat and then pull
Poke a
them
hole
up.
in the floor.
I have another thing about
No,
people
and
in
pull them up
wheelchairs.
from the staircase.
You have a what?
I have another dumb little religious belief about people in
Oh, go.
wheelchairs that they can't be saved or whatever. Because
That people in wheelchairs can't be saved.
okay, listen, if you have a problem with a microchip going in your brain, you should have a problem with sitting in a chair with wheels. You have legs, but Again,
have
non-salvation,
legs.
non-salvation issue.
Non-salvation. You're saying that they can't be saved, and that's a
He's
non-salvation
just
issue.
for the listener, audio listener, he's joking.
This is a joke.
yeah, it's not a very
Some of
funny
my
one.
best friends are in wheelchairs.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Okay, you're just some of your best friends.
are-
Don't do the like. All of my best friends are black.
Are you
people
doxing
thing.
me? Are you
No,
doxing
that's like
me
the
as a
politician
disabled?
thing they say where they're like, "Are you racist?" He's like, "I have a lot of black friends."
I have a lot of black friends.
You're doing the same thing with a lot
I
of
have
my
a lot of
best friends.
disabled-
my closest friends.
A lot of your closest friends are. Name one friend you have in a wheelchair. Not even close friend, and one
My grandma rode around on a scooter.
doesn't count
Dang it.
because she's not your friend.
The only
your grandma.
friends that
You're
I've
closer
had
than a
that
friend.
were in wheelchairs are dead now.
Now, does that mean you couldn't have a friend in a wheelchair? Absolutely not. I'm just stating the fact that you doesn't. Now, a lot of my
doesn't
friends
have
were in
friends.
Sorry,
wheelchairs.
I surround myself with godly people. Which, in the context of the joke, makes sense because I was
Yeah.
joking that wheelchairs.
So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cut that part and make it the stinger of this episode, where I'm like, name one in which. Sorry, a lot of my friends are godly. And then they'll get to the end of the episode if they chose to listen to this episode.
Yeah.
After that real terrible admission.
Jesus laughed.
You're gonna get disabled, dude, and be in a
Certain at some
wheelchair.
point.
Yeah,
Comedy
I
must
hope
be
so.
good.
Well, hang on.
Wait, wait. Oh no! I hope so. And so you're gonna get disabled. I'm gonna get in a wheelchair. Some psychopath who watches this episode is gonna put me in a wheelchair and force me to listen to dubstep.
Is gonna break your kneecaps and force
You're
you.
gonna get like what's it, MK30 or
MK Ultra.
MK Ultra.
Yeah, it's just like
I love dubstep.
yeah. All right, we're an hour and a half. I don't know how much of that was like edifying.
I do.
We had about 15 minutes of it.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
But some of this will find its way to Patreon, I'm certain.
Probably
Not because it was bad, because it was interesting, but
because Jude has
because
strange
Jude-
religious beliefs.
is
The
a
devil.
heretic.
I'm joking about the wheelchairs, obviously. I do feel that way about dubstep and trance music. I know
That's-
we're wrapping it up, and it's completely unjustified. I just have
No,
like a
Didn't you
feeling
say
like
trans
No,
music?
it's a feeling based off of like reasonable, like a reasonable,
look into the way music affects your brain.
yeah, a reasonable train of thought and logic. Like, I think that I
What
just
if
think
we
that
had
logic
underplaying
applies.
during preacher services?
I think that logic applies to a lot of music then, because
Oh yeah.
it just means you're just pointing out the fact that those two are the chief
I think
offenders.
those are the yeah 1%ers.
So, yeah, and we've said this before, but like, be careful with the music you listen to. Be careful with the things you watch.
No.
The music you listen to, they put you in. Sorry, is it not worth saying that?
No, I'm saying like yeah, like everyone like we totally agree on that. So like why is it crazy that maybe some of them we should just
It's not.
hard
It's
sing?
crazy. None of us have said it's crazy.
It's crazy.
You agree with me then?
It's crazy.
In principle, maybe.
In principle, maybe. Good.
I don't. Just because I don't know. I don't listen to dubstep.
You don't?
Like you did.
Good.
Like you do.
Did. Then he became a Christian.
And I was saved.
And then
born
he
again.
was saved.
But all right, this is a long enough episode. This is our second to last episode of the season, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Next episode will hopefully be interesting and special. Well, not to say this one wasn't, but and you know what we never talked about? Byron wasn't here.
No, we did mention it. What if Byron came crashing
That,
through
I
the
think
city?
that was before
That was
we were.
before we started.
Oh shoot!
No,
no, I thought
that was a
at the
Gibby
very
reference.
beginning.
But yeah, Byron he has started back in school now.
Yeah.
He's this close to being a physical therapist, and he's got a lot of work to do. So he obviously couldn't be here today. But hopefully he'll be here for the finale. Like we've said, some things will be changing between this season and next, and I hope they're all good things. But we've loved doing this, I think. We still love doing this,
Using the royal we there a lot.
and we're going to still love doing this,
I don't know.
except for Levi. We bought Levi out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
you're
leaving
fired,
at the
by
end
the
of
way.
this.
No.
I quit. Wait, I get benefits if I'm fired.
But we're excited for more. I'm excited for what the next season will bring. You know, it's cool doing something like this because we can literally see almost like chapters of our lives kind of both being archived, but like you can just see how things have changed in our life in this very like chapter-centric way that sometimes years just kind of blur. Am I being ridiculous?
No.
I think it's interesting. Like I was thinking back on like the first season we recorded.
You started out as hopeless that you were never going to get married, and look at you now.
Not true.
You're
That is
about
true.
to be married.
Not true.
He started denouncing marriage.
He
was
was
like,
the first
He
episode.
was like, no one should get married.
Divorced.
Get divorced.
Get married just so you can get divorced.
Get married so that you can divorce.
No, I hate divorce. But yeah, it's been interesting to think about that and just see how, also just like how Christian influence has changed, and as a ministry, there's just so much in life that's different, and I'm so thankful for it. And so, just in the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever, of doing this, it's like, man, what does God have planned next for our lives and in the ways that we can hopefully more effectively serve Him? Super cool. Cannot wait to see where we're at and what we're doing. And it's not about like what we're doing. It's about what God's doing through us. And I just hope that that's always the case. And when it's not, like if that is not the case for me at any point, just get me out of here. You know, like if you know what I mean? Like if it's the moment this becomes something, if there's ever a moment where this becomes something that I'm doing for myself, get me out, you know, because I would be a bad steward of it, because it's a great opportunity and I'm glad that we get to do it. Also, if you've made it this far into the season, you still haven't joined the Discord, get in there. Get in there on the ground floor, because it's booming and it's always growing. No, but get in there. It's a lot of fun and a lot of great discussion. We're kind of adding more places now of community for people to chat about various things like interests and hobbies. And so that's kind of changed. Lately, just a lot of it is it's getting more focused while also kind of getting more interesting, if that makes sense. And we're about to start up some new programs, some new partner programs too for like discipleship and things like that. And the prayer partner programs is stronger than it's ever been. We've got a lot of participants and it's great. And we've got weekly Bible studies, all that kind of stuff. And if you just want to talk to believers, have a community of believers, and just to clarify, we allow unbelievers there too, so that we can be an influence on them, right? And show them how Christians should act online. But if you want to be in a community that is just serving or seeking to serve God and glorify Him first, get in there, hang out with people. You get to hang out with us. And not because we're anything special, but if you want to ask us questions and for us to talk about them on the show, that's the easiest way to do it. Also, I haven't said this in a while. If you enjoy the show, thank you for listening. That's huge. Send it to a friend. Like tell somebody like, hey dude, I enjoyed the show and maybe there's an episode you think that will apply to them. Send it to them, but just send them the show. And if you want to go above and beyond, leave us a rating and review. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of those places, like a 4 or 5 star review actually goes a long way to helping boost our show and for more people to find it. And that's huge. And if you write a review, I'll read it on here. We haven't gotten one for a while, or else I would have read it. And then anything beyond that, you do not have to do this, but if you want to monetarily support Christian influence as a ministry, but the things that we're doing, things like this, so that they can improve and get a little bit of incentive out of it. No, we're not giving them money. Give us money so we can give you money.
Our $3 tier comes with a $1 rebate.
Skrilla, and then they get.
If you get a little incentive out of it, and there's extra content. Go to Patreon.
I mean, we don't get it. It's the
ministry.
The
yeah.
ministry.
And
None of us have taken a paycheck.
no,
yeah, I've
First
still not
under the influence
gotten paid.
hosts to not take a paycheck.
Yep.
We are the first Christian influence hosts to not take a paycheck.
yeah. I mean, I don't think any of us will ever be taking paychecks for the show, like for Under the Influence. I can't imagine we'd ever be taking paychecks for being on the show.
Probably
Cut to
not.
12 years later, mainstream TV.
We could be, and I don't think that would be wrong either. If it
Mainstream
was,
TV.
I mean, because there's a lot of effort that goes into this. Doesn't matter.
None of this
We're at
matters.
an hour and 40 minutes.
I know.
Go on those places and support us if you want to. And if you can't do that or you don't think that would be right, we would just appreciate your prayers. We're doing something that we believe is good and we want to do better. So please be praying for us. Let's pray before we go. Levi, you want to pray us out?
Sure. Dear God, thank you for allowing us all to be here, and thank you for allowing everybody that's listening or watching. Thank you that they can. And God, thank you for the community that you've allowed us to be a part of, and to help grow your kingdom, God. And I pray that our discussions on here are edifying to you, and that we can help people by talking about you and sharing in our love for you, God. And God, thank you so much for everything that you've been doing for us and for those listening. And in your name we pray. Let us have a good end to the season, God. And in your name, amen.
Amen. We love you very much.
Roll the outro.
I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are.
That's a good one.